Well, I went to the dump today just to get rid of some cardboard, and we have a shop at the dump of recycled things that people might find useful. So they put them on the shelves. This little box here I found just by accident. I was really looking for boxes to turn into cigar boxes, but this one here took my fancy. It cost $1. It's got hinges. I've just given it a clean down with some bleach. The caustic soda in the bleach turns it this yellow colour. So what I'm taking off at the moment was the grease. In the fibres in the wood here, there is like a slight smell of perfume, like vanilla perfume, but it's not the vanilla that I'm looking for, it's perfume. So tomorrow I'm going to scrub this down with some methylated spirits and get this wood as dry as possible. Then I'm going to sand it down and probably use Danish oil or something like that, something with tung oil in it so it sets nice and hard, and that way I can wax it, and I'll use natural beeswax. So the next thing I'm going to do is paint some hot beeswax inside this, and then I'm going to use my blowtorch that I use for lighting cigars, and I'm going to blowtorch all along this and get the wood nice and hot so that it absorbs all of the beeswax, and that way it's nice and sealed. So I'm going to rub beeswax along the edges and just torch it a wee bit, and then just give it a rub, and it'll be nice and polished, and that way it will be watertight. There's a lot of things like polyurethane and all sorts of things like sanding sealer. They don't actually seal water. Even polyurethane, it doesn't seal water. So you use beeswax, and then you just heat it up and let it seep into the wood, and that way you've got a moisture barrier. And then on top of that wax moisture barrier, I'm going to put 3 dividers lengthways that are 1 millimeter thick of cedar, so it picks up the smell, and cedar is very good at absorbing moisture. So on top of the bottom of this box, I'm going to put 1 millimeter thick layer of cedar and 1 millimeter of cedar here, and then I'm going to make 2 dividers here, 2 dividers here, and that way I can get 1, 2, 3 lanceros in this box and 3 in this box, and then I'm going to put a layer of 1 millimeter cedar laying over the cigars, and I'm going to tape it down, and then I'm going to close this box. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 square cut lanceros that I can then wrap in Virginia leaves. And that's my square cut mould. Well, I sanded back these little boxes this morning and gave it a coat of walnut wood dye. I ran out, so I had to use a different kind. So I had to wait for this one to dry out so that it can absorb this one here. And then once it, walnut. I'm going to do walnut first. Then I'm going to use dark mahogany. So it's going to come up a black rich colour, same colour as my humidor, and then it's going to end up being a square box press for cigars. So I'm making this box press, and I've sanded it down this morning, and then I've put some walnut stain on it, and then I threw it in the oven on a really low temperature for about 15 minutes, and then left it to cool down. And then put a red mahogany stain on top of that, and let that soak in, and then put that in the oven for 10 minutes on a really low. You don't want to cook anything, and let it dry out. And then I've put some Danish oil on it probably 2 hours ago. It's just at the very, very slight tacky stage, so what I'm going to do while it's tacky is polish it. So all I do is polish it with a really soft old worn out singlet. I use this to do the staining. Some of this stuff is the Danish oil, it sets quite hard. So I just find a piece of singlet that's nice and clean, and I'm just going to buff the crap out of this. This is some cedar, Spanish cedar I think. It's 1mm thick. So what I'm going to use it for is to do the dividers. So I'm going to measure the length, and then I'm going to make 1, 2, 3 dividers for each side, and that gives me 6. And then I need to find another piece of cedar that's just as thick. I might have to get one cut, and that way I can put it across here, and that's layer number 1. And then I do the same thing here, 1, 2, 3 cigars, and then because it's got one divider in here already, flop it over, put some rubber bands around it, and squash them square. So if you find that it sticks when you're rubbing it, I have to take this paper off so that it grips on this non-stick mat. To be honest, this is just paper for me to stain it on top. If you find that it's really grippy like this, it just means polish it even harder and even faster until it heats up. Alright, done. So there's my humidor, there's my box to match. I don't know what these holes are for. So in here I'm going to put my cedar dividers, lock it up tight, and that'll be a square cut box press. And in here I've got 2 cigars left. Anyway, this one's got a really good draw on it. It smells like cedar. This is before I was doing flags and caps. And this is before I was doing flags and caps too, so see how that's quite choked. Probably end up having to snip that off, but nowadays I would have put a flag and a cap on it and then done a circle cut through the middle with this circle cutter here, which is just a piece of tube that I banged into a cork. And that's my cap cutter, and that's just a piece of old blowtorch jammed into a cork. Yeah, it still smells like cedar in there too, it's nice. Humidor, box press, done.